Well, happy Saturday, folks. The real Captain Kirk here. We're live from One Bethlehem Plaza here in downtown Bethlehem here today on the 15th of November. It's a chilly day, 29 this morning, going up to about 54 today, so kind of a below average fall day here. Thought we'd talk about the solar cycle 25 here. It peaked back on August 2024, so again, it displays a long-term, kind of a lagging impact on some weather cycles here, but again, it was neat in terms of the auroras here. We actually had our fifth Aurora that we've seen here with this solar cycle 25 here, going back to May last year, October last year on the right, and November 2025 here just this past week was just pretty epic. Again, rainbow colors, saw some meteors flying through the Aurora. So again, it was a crazy display here, again, seeing all the way down even into Florida and even south of that. So again, the colors you see are greens are going to be in the lower part of the Mesosphere, lower part of the Ionosphere. Reds will be up higher in the Ionosphere, and the purples you see are way up there in the up near the Thermosphere. So again, where those particles are interacting in the upper atmosphere determines the color. We actually saw, again, all of them here with this past event here. Looking at snow cover here as of 11 November, we had a system move through, again, brought some accumulating snows to the Dakotas, Iowa, through the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, Northeast. Had some flurries here at the wt360 headquarters. So on 11 November here, we had about 11% of the country with snow cover. Notice that there's virtually none out in the west. They've been warmer, and it's melted a lot of that higher elevation snow. Look at season to date here, again, cold 32-degree days, and the snow index nationally, we're up a bit, up 22% versus last year for the cold days, still seventh least in 40 years. Snowfall index also picked up a bit here, 56% more than last year, 10th least, again, below average, but we'll be adding to that as we go through the winter season here and even toward the Thanksgiving week. Looking at the weekly snowfall trends, now these bars show the year-on-year change in snow, so blues are much, much snowier than last year, yellows less snow than last year. So we've had a big week here in mid-November. A little bit of a downturn here this coming week, and then Thanksgiving week may see another uptick of snow from west back into New England as well. So look at our Power of 1 Degree. Every week we'll feature something. So again, today we're just going to talk about our AI chatbot, so 360 AI summary here. So we just asked it what was the weather like here this past week across the U.S., and it picked out some interesting categories. Heaters, window insulation kits, winter sports, all up. Southeast was obviously the real cold spot. Had record colds down there in Tampa, Florida in the 30s. Kind of crazy cold for mid-November for Florida. But Southeast, we would say, was for, say, hot beverages up 33% year on year. So our Power of 1 would say that, top 3 in 40 years. Also for portable heaters, up about 122%. Again, also a top 3. So very strong demand for those fall, even winter seasonal categories in the Southeast. Look at last week, world summer here, ending today here. The U.S. 2.6 cooler again than last year, coldest in 6 years. About 19th warmest in 40 years, tail of two halves. 32-degree days are up 42%, most in 6 years. Well, it's pretty dry, 54% drier than last year, driest in 9 years. So these are good trends, at least for the eastern half of the country, particularly in the southeast Florida areas for those fall seasonal merchandise sales. So again, people are definitely thinking about those things that because of the cold. Hot out west, also pretty hot there across the UK, Europe. Again, warmest in 3 years, a top 5, top 4 across the UK and Europe. Cold down under, down Australia, very, very cold. Coldest in 26 years for their spring maps. Inset left are the trends versus average. Big map here is trends versus last year. Look at flu season here. Again, with the government back open, they're updating some of their data here. But as expected, flu season's off to the slowest start in 5 years. This is going to be kind of maybe a bellwether of what happened in Australia. They had a very slow start, and it didn't even actually peak until the equivalent of our March. So very, very late peak. This year, we probably think it's going to be more toward after the holiday shopping season. That's good news. Keep folks healthy, store traffic high, and not battling the flu. We look at the severe weather here, not much here this past week. So again, we're going to be ending these soon here. But again, tornadoes down 13% versus last year, hail up 1% versus last year, and wind cases up 2%. Hurricane season's ending here pretty quickly here, only about 2 more weeks, but nothing to speak of out there right now. This week, again, week prior to Thanksgiving here in the U.S., we're going to see a warming trend here as the warm weather shifts more to the west and toward the east, and the cold shifts back to California. Overall, the U.S. is 3 degrees warmer than last year, third warmest in 40 years. So very, very warm. Again, where it was freezing cold, it's going to be much warmer, so kind of an Indian summer, if you will. Snowfall trends, again, showing down next week. It's down 65% versus last year, and precip up, again, about 1%. wettest in 10 years. So this is a stormy pattern here. Again, in fact, it'll be a similar pattern for next week. So stormy in the west with high elevation snows. Stormy there from Texas into the Ohio Valley. This will become disruptive as we get into the holiday, actually Thanksgiving travel season here. Thought we'd look at the 6-day snowfall trends here again. Today here, not much. Sunday, again, a little bit of cold front coming through here, so we'll get a little bit of an enhanced lake effect in New England. But again, this will be lake effect in high elevations of New England. Seeing some uptick in the northern Rocky Mountains, Sierras. Tuesday, again, similar, so again, some flurries. Not a lot, but aggregating the trends here overall, again, about 15% of the U.S. population getting some snow here over the next 6 days. Still about 43% less than this time last year. Looking at the all-important Thanksgiving week, Black Friday period here again, you can see the cooler trend starting to come into the upper plains, northern Rockies there. This will sweep across the entire country here. So it'll be a mild start to the week through probably Thanksgiving, and then a cooling trend as we go through the Thanksgiving weekend as this cold front sweeps off the East Coast. So warm in front of it and getting colder behind it. But overall, the week will end up being 2.4 warmer than last year, 18th warmest in 40 years, above average. Snowfall uptick a bit, up 23%, most in 6 years. Rainfall also up 50%. So again, you see that front kind of really going from Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, up into New England. Again, that's the cold front here. So it'll sweep off the coast here, again, for the Thanksgiving weekend and bringing chillier conditions as we go for maybe the first few days of here December. If we just aggregate these 2-week trends here across the world, so again, I got to be careful because we're averaging warms and colds, but overall the theme is kind of a milder pattern for the Canada and U.S. Again, cooling toward the very late part of this period here, and cooler across the U.K. and Europe after very, very warm conditions. They're going to get probably the colder trends here for the 2-week period. Temps versus last year is the map bottom left there, and weekly rainfall, snowfall here across the world again shows again, just because it's milder doesn't mean we're not going to have a lot of snow. So there's snow in the Pacific Northwest, Northern Rockies, Eastern Canada. So anyway, map inset left there is the trends versus average. So folks, have a great week ahead here. Again, and don't forget this is now our weekly blog video is a subscription, free subscription service. And go to this wtr360.com/newsletter/captains-log/subscribe, and you'll get this in your inbox every Saturday afternoon. So that, folks, have a great week ahead, and we'll talk to you again here this time next week.